Good morning, beautiful listeners, and welcome back to The Morning Ride. You are listening to AUIBFM 101.5, and this is the second episode and the segment where we talk about wellness and wellness talk. This segment is in collaboration with the Wellness Center inside AUIB, and of course, we will be hosting Ms. Jeinefer for us, Jeinefer Cook, the director of the Wellness Center inside AUIB. Today, we will be talking about the stress management during exams. And as they say, almost everything will work again only if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. So the stress management with the exam season coming up and approaching, stress can feel almost a part of our life, but doesn't have to take over. So we will talk about why exams can create so much stress and how stress can actually affect our performance, including the insights and tools that we can use to manage our stress. So welcome Dr. Jeinefer with us today. We will talk about the stress management.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So what is the stress and why a lot of people have stress before exams?
Yes, this is the hot topic right now with
it
being exam season. And, really, stress is our brain and our body's way of trying to manage any perceived threat. And I know that may sound a little bit technical, but I think it's important for us to understand what's happening in our brain and our body and our nervous system. When we are feeling academic pressure or we're very stressed about an upcoming exam or project or final, then, really we feel nervous about these things, and it takes our nervous system into this state of maybe hypoarousal or hyperarousal in a fight, flight, or freeze. And what it's important to know about this is when we move into those states, parts of our brain start to not work as well. And so the parts of our brain that are in charge of critical thinking or problem solving or emotional regulation and even memory, believe it or not, start to not work as well. So one of the most important things we can do is start to notice that when we're in these states of high stress, that it's very, very important to take good care of ourselves and to be able to find that space of calm so that we can have that reset in order to study better and function better and even feel better.
Well, stress, even though you've mentioned like your mind will stop working and you will have like memory loss and you will have difficulties just remembering a lot of things. Maybe this is why, in your personal opinion, why a lot of people, even though they're prepared well for their exams, they have read everything, they memorize everything, but the second that they receive the paper, they just, it's vanished. So why do you think this happens?
Absolutely. And we call this test anxiety.
Okay.
And so many students experience this, that you study and you're prepared and you feel good about it, or at least you think you feel good enough. I've spent enough time preparing for this. And then you sit down in front of that exam and our minds go blank. Or we start to feel so much anxiety that we just can't focus. And or time starts to speed up and we start to be really, really anxious about that we're going to run out of time. And this is very common, and that's a perfect example of the way that our nervous system responds if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not going into these exams in a strong place mentally, that we can get into that space of a fight or flight response in our brains. And then we can't focus as well, and we start to have anxiety in our bodies. We have a difficult time focusing, and we just can't remember what to put down on those answers.
Yeah. So since we covered the part of like what is actually stress and what people can experience while they're stressed, the second thing is that is a misconception that we want to just put on the table. People say that if you are not stressed, then you are not being productive. They think that if you are stressed all the time, you don't have time to sleep, you don't have time to eat, then you are being productive. Yes. How true is this?
It's absolutely not true.
Okay.
So Yes, there's two aspects of this. The first is that our society really values high stress and high pressure. It makes us feel like we're very important, or that we're very productive, or that we're on top of what we need to be doing if we're feeling stressed and busy. And the truth is that when you think about a state of high stress and our minds just thinking and thinking and thinking and ruminating and overthinking, it's tricking our brains into thinking we're doing something about it. That tricks our brains into thinking we're fixing it, when really all we're doing is thinking and thinking and thinking and not solving the problem at all. So it ends up taking time and energy away from the time that we could be actually being productive, or we could be resting, which is probably exactly what we need, is to take a rest, take a break, take care of yourself, and then look again towards either the studying or the exam preparation or whatever it is you need to be doing.
Well, since that stress is normal for a lot of people, it has been unfortunately normalized. As you mentioned, it's how our minds work, how our society taught us that stress is about being productive. But when is the actual moment when I look at myself and I say, okay, this is not normal.
Yes.
This is the moment where I have to step out of the shell and just seek for help. So when is that moment happen? What are the symptoms that we need to care for?
Yes. So I like to approach this in a way that when you can think of stress as it's just you being thinking about something a lot because you care about it. If you didn't care about something, you wouldn't feel that stress about it, right? Like an exam or an assignment or a project. But when we are unable to still have a calm nervous system, when we're unable to still enjoy the things that we enjoy, when we're unable to connect with other people, when we're unable to focus, that's the point where stress moves out of being excitement or a healthy challenge and moves into a place where it now becomes an unhealthy pressure and a high level of stress and anxiety, that we stop being as productive and we start to actually harm our mental health if we don't take a step back and take care of ourselves.
Well, when they seek the mental health consoling session, let's say, or they just seek the help of a professional, what professionals actually do to deal with the students who are suffering from stress and anxiety before exams, especially here at AIB? We know that a lot of students have so many projects, so many clubs, so many things to do. So what professionals do during this session?
Sure. This certainly looks different for each person. So the first thing we do is listen. We really stop and listen to what is it that they're experiencing? What are they feeling? What kind of behaviors are they exhibiting? Are they anxious? Are they angry? Are they irritable? What are they experiencing in their bodies? Are they now procrastinating, for example? Are they avoiding their studying? And so we just really take a look at exploring with them as a partner, what are the things that we need to direct away from, and how do we take care of your nervous system, and what actually works for you to calm that down. And for some people, it's that they need more sleep. For some people, it's that they need some time management skills, and so we work on that. For some people, they just need to be able to recognize when they get into that state of hyperarousal or hypoarousal, because a lot of times we don't recognize when we're there. And so we do some work with them to be able to recognize once they're there, and then understand what works for them to bring them back to that state of clarity.
Okay. Well, for the students who are still suffering from not going to a mental health or let's say a therapy session, they are really scared to do that. They just, whatever we will say, they're just, this is a space that they cannot go to. But what is your advice to those students, that simple habits maybe, or simple techniques that they can do during the day that can really help them calm down and just have the moment to, okay, I can take that exam and be okay?
Absolutely. There's so many really basic things that we could all do more in our lives. And certainly when we're feeling stressed, some of these very simple practices such as mindfulness, stopping and taking a deep breath, noticing the things around you, really grounding yourself in the moment. When we feel ourselves beginning to be stressed, if we can take some deep inhales and then a long exhale, allowing your exhale to be longer than your inhale, this tells our heart rate that it can slow down. It tells our brain, I don't need to be so stressed. I'm safe. I'm okay. So something as simple as taking a few moments to take those long breaths. Definitely making sure that we're getting enough to eat. I see so many students whose they feel anxious, and so they're not eating enough. They're going for long periods of the day without food. And our brains are 5% of our body mass, but they use 20% of our body's energy. And so the first thing to go offline if we're not getting enough to eat is our brain. And then we're surprised that we can't focus and we can't perform. So making sure we're getting enough to eat and that it's the right kinds of things, making sure we're getting good, healthy protein and that we're not eating a lot of sugar to have those blood sugar spikes and then drops, right?
Again. Yeah.
Making sure we're getting enough sleep. It's really critical. That's when our brain heals and files those memories away, is while we're sleeping. And so if we want to remember what we studied, we can take a little nap or do that before we go to bed.
Yes, that's really simple but valuable. Yeah. What about the family and the surroundings? What they can do? Like families, suffer from like their children and their teenagers just suffering from stress. They don't know how to deal with it. So it's a part of their responsibility. I think there are a lot of parents are listening to us right now, what they can do to their children to help them just step out of this.
Absolutely. I think the role of the family and of friends and that community around the student is so critical. And those around us that provide us with social support, that is one of the first things that I will tell my clients to do to normalize their nervous system, is to just co-regulate. Go be with someone who feels safe to you. Sit next to someone so you can be in the room with your student and just be that calm presence, giving them a hug or telling them that I know you've got this, I believe in you. Being that calm, positive support is what they need. You don't need to solve the problems for them or necessarily do it for them. Just let them know that you believe in them and that they have what it takes to do it. And if you feel like your student or your child or your friend really isn't managing well on their own, then encourage them to ask for help. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And that you can trust us to take good care of your child or your friend or your student, and we will do that. We will help them to calm down, to feel comfortable, to manage their time well, and to gain that confidence they need to do well.
Well, one last thing that we mention in every episode, we will mention one piece of advice or a message that you would like to give on behalf of the Wellness Center of AIB to our students.
When it comes to exam time and these periods of time where there's high level of stress, just know that you are not alone. And so many other students and even the faculty and the staff around you and people in your life, they're experiencing that stress too. And so you are not alone. If you don't have someone you feel safe reaching out to or talking to about this, come and visit us. And also that you're normal, that it's normal to feel these feelings, to feel this anxiety, to have these moments where you say to yourself, I don't know if I can do this, or to have a moment where you say, I just need to escape, or I'm afraid I'm going to fail. This is very normal to have these kinds of thoughts and feelings. And so allow us or those around you to help you process those so that you can get to the other side of that in a very short period of time and be able to have the clarity to know you can do it.
Well, this is why we're here, to give them the clarity and to give them the space, and also to just let them know that, as you mentioned, they're not alone, that they can do this, and it's going to pass. This too shall pass. They always say that. So thank you, Dr. Jenifer, for sharing all of this amazing information, insights, and tools. And in every episode, we will tackle a different subject. So thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, dear listeners, for listening. This was the Morning Ride Wellness Talk, and thank you for tuning into AUIBFM 101.5.